Hi, my name is Theo Dragan from AppAwards. I'm here today with Mark Phillip, founder of Are You Watching This? As you may know, AppAwards gives App Awards to the most original applications in the world. Today I'm happy to announce that the winner of this award for the sports category is Are You Watching This? Mr. Phillip, congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you much. Our whole goal is to do something new in the sports space, so it's great getting recognition like this.
Can you tell us a little more about your app?
Sure. Are you watching this started as really a selfish need more than anything? I remember it was I think 2000 when I first moved down to Austin, Texas. I was feeling a little homesick, and there was a great game on TV of my hometown New York Jets, and I was looking forward to it all day. But by halftime, they were losing by a bunch. It was a blowout by the third quarter, and by the fourth quarter, I was asleep. But I woke up the next morning to find out that the Jets actually came back to win in one of the most exciting comebacks ever in the history of Monday Night Football. So that always frustrated me, and that always sort of stuck in the back of my mind. And a few years later, when I finally got the startup bug, I thought, maybe that's a problem I can solve with technology. So our goal is to make sure that you never miss a great game that's happening right now.
Great, great. And does that apply only to NFL or how many divisions or how many sports do you cover so far?
It applies to a lot of sports. The tough part is getting data. So our system has about a certain core set of super fans, but more importantly, we have an algorithm that's doing the hard work and the crunching behind the scenes to figure out if a game's on TV and making sure every game gets treated the same. Unfortunately, getting data for some sports is more expensive than others, but for most U.S. based sports, we have pretty much everything. Anything from pro football to college football, men's basketball to women's basketball, baseball, hockey. We covered all.
Ah, great, great. And do you cover any, I don't know, soccer, let's say? Because in Europe, soccer is the most watched sport.
It is the number one request that we have. Sadly, we only have the MLS and the World Cup. We had EPL, Bundesliga earlier in the site, but unfortunately, we had to lose a lot of those top tier international leagues when we switched data providers. But we're hoping to bring it back in the future.
Ah, that's good. I think our your clients from Europe are gonna be, your users from Europe are gonna be very happy to hear that.
I'll be
Especially
very
if
happy
you,
about that too.
especially if you start covering Champions League or UEFA.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and how you got, how you started the company itself?
Sure. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Went to school up in Boston. Moved down to Austin, Texas, right around 2000. Never thinking I'd be here for a long time, but the city has really grown and changed and turned into my favorite startup hub in the country. It's a place where there are a lot of people doing really interesting things, but I think you find more uniqueness and more creativity in the ideas in Austin than you do on the coast, like in San Francisco or New York. And so a
Mhm.
lot of my friends were slowly starting to get into startups. Granted, this was still back in 2006 when Dig was sort of the big boy on campus, and Facebook was just slowly getting its legs. And so it wasn't as much of a scene as it is now. But back then when I first wanted to get started, I knew I wanted to do something new. I'd worked in enterprise software consulting and for advertising firms, and got frustrated by either clients not wanting to go with an off the wall idea or internally not getting the support I needed to get an off the wall idea funded. So I thought, maybe I should try to do something on my own. And with folks starting to do something similar, I decided to quit my job, leave my healthcare, and go out on my own.
That's dangerous in America. Leave your
It is.
healthcare. Okay, after you got the idea, after you lost that match on Monday night, Jets versus the Dolphins, if I remember correctly,
Correct.
the story actually sparked my interest, and I went and saw some videos. Anyway, after that happened, after that unfaithful incident, what were the first steps you took in developing this app?
Well, the idea sort of simmered for a while. There were things that happened over the years, whether it was, missing a big baseball game because I was doing laundry or raking the leaves. The Jets one is the one that always gets to me. But more than anything, I just started doing research, and the funny thing about it is, research is just watching more sporting events. And understanding that. I can look at a score on TV. I can be flipping through the channels and see, uh, you know, Chelsea won, Arsenal won in the 88th minute, and know right away, in a fraction of a second, I can understand, oh, this is interesting. Or maybe it's Notre Dame USC tied in the fourth quarter, and I'll know that it's interesting. So what I tried to do was hunt for patterns and scores and figure out if that quick moment where, as humans, as sports fans, or even just aware of pop culture, we're able to understand that these two teams mean something and this score means something. Is that a universal? Can I replicate that with code? And after a while, I figured out that that's something I actually can do. A few months later is when I went out and started doing it.
Great. Well, it's been a few years since you started up. Are you watching this? What were the premium things? What were the most important things you learned from this experience, from starting up this app?
That I didn't really know what I was doing. I think most entrepreneurs, I shouldn't say most. Now, I think there's a set of entrepreneurs that need to do the business plan and need to figure out everything going on. And that works for a lot of people. But for me, I'm not really that guy. I've made so many mistakes, I can't even count. But
Can you share with us some mistakes?
sure, there is working from my bedroom. I did that for a couple years. So I'd wake up, move about 3 feet to the desk, code until I fell asleep, and move 3 feet back to the bed. So getting a dedicated room, dedicated space for work. I'm a one-man shop. I regret not having a co-founder. Uh, the belief that if I just coded really well, good things will happen. As a computer science major, I want that to be true, but it's just not. There are so many great startups doing so many great things that it does take luck. It does take PR, which doesn't mean you need to go out and spend a ton of money on a public relations firm, but you need to be able to share your story in a succinct way, whether it's a 30-second video that you can send to a writer, or any way to make it easier for blogs and sites like App Appeal to understand what you're up to without reading months and months of blog posts or taking a look at code. So, there are a lot of things on that end that I learned the hard way. But it's exciting to think that if I ever do something like this again, it'd be a whole lot easier. Hopefully, I won't make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah, well, we do the same mistakes until we learn from them.
Exactly.
Probably. That's what I heard. So, any advice you could give to young entrepreneurs?
I think the key is find something that annoys you each and every day. And maybe it's
Okay.
not you, maybe it's a family member, but those are the things I think technology should be solving. Too often I see apps that create more noise versus creating a solution, or they're creating a solution for something that isn't really a problem. One of my favorite experiences was I was up in Boston, I think, for a wedding, and I was ironing my shirt, and the iron was changing colors, and I was really confused by it. And it was beeping every once in a while. I'd never seen an iron do that. So I sort of took a step back and looked at it, and it turns out as it got hotter, it would change color, letting you know how hot it was. And for me, whenever I'm ironing a shirt, I never know if I should put on this temperature, or how hot it is, or maybe it's gotten cold. I didn't realize. So those little innovations, I think, are the most amazing ones. And that is, a little LED in an iron. We have so much interesting technology horsepower, whether it's doing things in the cloud or what we can do on mobile these days, that I want to see people, or at least I hope I'll see people doing more things that actually make our lives easier, where technology doesn't inundate us with more noise. It liberates us to live our lives and get outside and do things and interact with friends and just sort of tap us on the shoulder when there's something we need to know about. So, more than anything, I think entrepreneurs should should go after the market. I think it's a large market of applications that free us from the computer and free us from our phones instead of latching us to them.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I think you're right over there. Um, Anybody you would like to thank for helping you win this award?
More than anything, I'd love to thank my friends who have done a great job of keeping my chin up at times when it didn't seem like it was going to work out. But there's going to be a lot of news come from Are You Watching This in the next couple months. some really interesting technology we're going to launch. And I think without the support of my friends and beta testing things when they definitely weren't ready for the world, it would have been hard to do it without.
Okay. It's good to have good friends around you, definitely. So when you create a startup, have good friends around you, people to support you, definitely.
It's important.
Okay. Well, we at Apple are crazy about apps. We ourselves use a lot of apps, and we were wondering what apps do you yourself use?
For me, oh, that's such a great question. I have found myself, as silly as it sounds, really into gaming lately. There's a good amount of work being done on Are You Watching This apps right now. And so usually when I'm on my phone or my tablet, I spend so much time doing work on it that it's a release. It's sort of the first thing I go to in the morning, whether it's pulling up tech meme to read some articles, but generally it's playing the typical stuff, whether it's Cut the Rope or Airport Mania or something like that. Often my phone ends up being my relaxation point, my release valve more than
Okay, okay. Then, well, I've asked you a couple of questions so far. Do you have any questions for us, for the Apple team?
I guess what sort of trends are you guys seeing? What seems to be maybe not the next big thing, but what do you see developers focusing on most these days?
Oh, that's a tricky question. Problem is that we're concentrating on so many fields at the same time, like not necessarily so many fields, but we're covering so many categories that it's hard to say where the trend is. Everybody's trying to come up with a brand new app that's gonna change the world. Everybody's trying to come up with the next Facebook or I don't know app that it's gonna just wow everybody.
Sure.
And I think the general trend is people are actually trying to find a solution. The good thing is that from so many startups and so many apps that appear right now, some of them are bound to actually make our lives better or come up with a brand new idea, like Are You Watching This? Which is really an app that does that. It actually brought something new to the table. That's why we gave you the most original award in the sports category.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to build, and I hope we see more of that. I think we're on the same page where there needs to be technology to enrich our lives instead of technology for technology's sake. And so at Are You Watching This? We're trying to do our own little part in the sports side, and hopefully more people will do something similar in the future.
Okay, then I would like to thank you for taking the time to do this interview. We wish you all the best and hope to hear more from you. And please, please, please cover soccer sooner.
We are working on it. We will shout from the mountaintops, and we'll make sure App Appeal knows about it when we get it done.
Okay, thank you very much for this time and talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
All the best. Bye bye.